Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Hello again. I am the Tech Attack, and this is my WWE Tables and Ladders and Champs. Oh my review for the night, Sunday, December the 15th, 2013. I haven't been able to watch a full TLC pay-per-view in a while because usually I would have gigs on this night. But it's the first time in 4 years I'm able to watch a full TLC event because the gig wasn't on a Sunday. When it comes to my thoughts on TLC, anybody thought the card was going to be weak because typically there's a tables match, a ladder match, and a chairs match besides the big TLC match. But I think because of the TLC match being so big, they didn't have those side matches. And I thought it was going to be lame because of that fact. But, despite that, the event was pretty decent. There was 2 really good matches, including the main event, which I was happy about the end result. And we also have another great match of the tag team match, which was probably my favorite match of all, which I'll explain why in a few minutes here. And the other matches include the 2 filler matches in the pregame. It's okay. I think if you had 1 or 2 other better matches, and one handicap match is better than the other, and I'll explain that as well. So the other card was okay. At least the 2 great matches, especially the ending of the main event, made up for the other card being just average. But despite that, I'm rating it a 7.0. I was debating about how to rate this pay-per-view. So I was rating a 7.0 because it was an entertaining pay-per-view. You know, it was decent pay-per-view for what it was. For not having any other tables, ladders, and champ matches besides the 1 TLC match, which I think was a decent thing. In the end, because at least there was 1 big match that used all the weapons, which was a decent matchup for what it was, the main event. But before we get to the main event, let's, of course, start from the beginning. From the beginning, meaning the pregame. The YouTube pre-show matchup involving Dolph Ziggler taking on FANDANGO. Of course, Ziggy was on the offensive early. But of course, FANDANGO using his slide dance skills, and with a little help, in the end, of course, by his little dancing partner girlfriend type, Summer Rae, FANDANGO will come flying back in the beginning, mid of the matchup. Of course, with big backdrop moves until of course Ziggler came back, didn't try the famouser once, missed the first attempt, but then got the second attempt at the famouser, but almost got the victory there. But indeed, following that near fall after the famouser and setting up for the zigzag eventually, trying to go for the zigzag, FANDANGO would counter with a big slam, setting him up for the leg drop. The first attempt, like Ziggler, having to do attempts at the famouser to get it connected, it took 2 attempts for FANDANGO to get the leg drop. After the first attempt at the leg drop failed by Ziggler, Ziggler got distracted by Summer Rae, which set up FANDANGO using that distraction to capitalize on it to set up the second attempt at the leg drop, which was more successful. It got the pin in the ring. So thanks to the help from Summer Rae distracting Ziggler, FANDANGO got the victory. And it's okay opener in the pregame match. I really thought Ziggler was going to win because I thought they were going to give Ziggler a push again. I like both guys. But, you know, FANDANGO wins. Okay. 2.0. Just an average match to begin the pay-per-view. Kind of a fun little opener for the mid-card. Or at least for the main card on the pregame. As we would enter the main card, Triple H and Stephanie, along with Vince, would enter the arena. We haven't seen Vince in a while. So Vince would at least be on camera at least twice. Once to enter the arena, and of course at the end of the show to congratulate the winner of the TLC match. But we will begin the main broadcast with Triple H and Stephanie acknowledging that this night's such a big night. You know, main event, John Cena, Randy Orton, TLC match for the the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. They keep calling it also the Champion of Champions. It's like Orton's nickname. They tell us about Orton's nickname. You know, they call him like the Viper 1 week, then the Apex Predator, then the Legend Killer. What's his nickname of the week? That's the same thing about the championship. What's the nickname of the championship of the week? Is it a Unified Championship? Is it a Champion of Champions? Or is it a WWE World Heavyweight Champion? Since they already had an Undisputed Champion, there was no way they were going to name it Undisputed. Since one man would doubt that. By the way, Jericho didn't show up tonight, despite many teases. Jericho didn't come back tonight at TLC. I bet they're saving that for War. Or maybe the Royal Rumble. Wait a minute. Jericho already came back at Royal Rumble this year. They can't let him come back twice at the Royal Rumble. He has to come back before the Rumble. But I think Jericho's hinting a comeback at least. Anyway, so the champion would be, of course, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And, of course, after a little speech and a little intro, on with the main card, which will kick off with the first of 2 3-on-1 handicap matches. I was looking at the card because I haven't watched Raw in a few weeks because I've been busy DJing on Mondays. So when I found out there was going to be 2 handicap matches involving Punk and D-Bry 3-on-1, I thought, I was like, what the hell are they doing? But one handicap match was better than the other, and I'll explain it. Punk's match is handicap match against the Shield, which will kick off the show. Of course, all 3 members, Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns. I think was better than Bryan's handicap match because D-Bry had 3 guys who can't really wrestle that much in his handicap match. 3 men that are just brawlers. At least, because D-Bry carried the match, as you would see. D-Bry carried the match with the WYATTS, which I'll explain that when we get to that. But Punk had 3 great wrestlers to work with in the Shield. Because all 3 guys are great athletes. They're not just brawlers like the WYATTS are. So Punk could feed off them, which he did. As Punk would come in, all engines revving up, on full steam ahead as Punk went for the Ambrose at first. And of course, Punk was at a rampage, dominating the early half of the matchup. Until Ambrose, after being isolated by Punk, got the game changer. Roman Reigns. It will end up being a different kind of game changer. Roman Reigns was trying to dominate with his dominant speed, or mostly his power, his big strength, of course being the muscle of the group. The game changer was actually when Roman Reigns got tossed outside the ring by Punk and rammed him into the announce table. Rammed him into JBL's chair, and it kind of laid Roman Reigns out. It ended up being a 2-on-1 handicap match following the injury to Roman Reigns. That was a huge, huge game changer in a different way than the Shield wanted expected. I think they wanted a game changer to be when Roman Reigns would dominate, but a game changer, of course, was when Roman Reigns got rammed into the announce table and got out for a little bit when his eye started swelling up. So with Reigns out of the match, at least for the time being, it left up to Roman Reigns' other partners, Ambrose and Rollins, to pick up the scraps, which is exactly what they did. They exactly picked up where Roman Reigns left off before Roman Reigns got taken out. They, of course, played the isolation game themselves and started dominating on Punk for the later half of this matchup and really giving it to Punk with the quick tags, in and out, and all that. And even Ambrose and Rollins being taken out at one time by Punk as they were kind of distracted by Reigns' situation. They were checking up on Reigns. But even with that on their minds, they still found enough time to beat up Punk for the majority of this matchup. It was a decent fun matchup. Especially when Punk started flying back, trying to go for his big kicks and moves. After Ambrose nailed with some big kicks and moves. Same with Rollins did some big kicks. With Punk nailing a few times, trying to go for the Anaconda Vice a few times. Trying to go for the elbow at least once or twice. He did nail the elbow eventually in a big knee. He even tried at least once or twice for a GTS. But both times it was thwarted until Rollins came in. The ending, of course, came in. Punk was setting up Ambrose for the GTS. Then Rollins was in, set him up for the GTS, connected on Rollins. But as Punk was setting up Ambrose for the GTS for the second time, I kind of feared this, and I kind of saw this spot coming, that Reigns was going to come back in the ring and kind of spear Punk as he was trying to GTS Ambrose. Where he did try to come back and spear Punk, but Punk dunked the spear, and Reigns instead speared Ambrose. The plan backfired as after that inadvertent spear by Rollins, his tag team partner Reigns, Ambrose was still suffering from that spear, got rolled up by Punk. 1, 2, 3, Punk gets the victory after an inadvertent backfire for Roman Reigns spearing Ambrose instead, trying to make the last minute save, but ended up being too little too late and backfired. This was, like I said, the better of the 2 handicap matches we would see tonight, just because these 3 guys could carry the match along with Punk. They could switch off the lifting, the heavy lifting. These 3 guys the 3 guys in the Shield are very athletic guys. You look at the guys in the WYATTS, and D-Bry had to carry the match because the 3 Wyatt guys are just brawlers. They don't wrestle that much. They just beat people up, as we would see. Shield a good athlete, so at least Punk can take the load off him and have the other guys carry the match, which is what they did until, of course, Punk came back and got the victory. And a decent, fun handicap match. I thought it was going to be silly, but the handicap match was easy. Was not that bad. Being the better of the two handicap matches we would have. 2.3 for this handicap matchup. Now, on the next matchup for the Divas Championship, AJ Lee against NATALYA. I like the crowd in Houston. I need to mention that. The Houston crowd was decent, but I like the signs were cool. I like the Westview break sign I saw during this match. And there was another match this sign was useful for, or would have been useful for, and I'll get to that in a moment. We would see, of course, AJ come out with a little girl, Tamina. And NATALYA, of course, feeding off the push he's been getting from being on the Total Divas show. And for being a Divas match, Westview break, as many people would call it, like I said, with the funny-ass sign. It was really not that bad of a Divas match, especially since NATALYA is actually a good athlete. You know, hello, she's a member of the Hart family, you know. And NATALYA, of course, feeding off the momentum she's had in a few weeks, beating AJ in many forms from what I've seen and read about her pretty good at Survivor Series and other matches on Raw, like non-title matches, tag matches, and making her submit to the sharpshooter. And unfortunately, NATALYA's obsession with the sharpshooter kind of caught in the end. Because NATALYA, she had many opportunities to beat AJ. She pulled on AJ throughout the matchup until AJ, of course, came flying back with her big moves, even nailing the Black Widow at one point. And I like the spot when Tamina was Tamina became a big help. And I knew Tamina was going to be a big factor, and she kind of was. She did distract NATALYA early on as NATALYA was trying to get advantage, and that little distraction, at least looking at Tamina, got AJ to take advantage of that distraction, and AJ fed off that. And I like NATALYA's counters. I think AJ was going for like a submission move, but not the Black Widow per se, but she had like some sort of submission move, and NATALYA got a good counter to that. She did try to sharpshooter many times. And like I said, AJ did have the Black Widow on at one point. But like I said, NATALYA had many opportunities to put AJ away and had her in various pinning predicaments. But she didn't want the pin. She wanted the submission victory. And unfortunately, her thoughts on getting the submission cost her in the end. And she would set up after a big slam, setting up for the possible pinning predicament. But once again, trying to go for that sharpshooter, that plan backfired. As AJ would counter that sharpshooter, pulling her hair on the wall up. 1, 2, 3 victory. AJ will retain the Divas Championship. Because I like both these girls. I thought NATALYA was going to win tonight. But hey, the crowd don't like AJ. You know, AJ didn't win the Slammy for Diva of the Year. She did prove a point with this performance on NATALYA. And a decent, okay, Divas matchup. I'll give this match a 2.2. This was a fun little match. And the ending was kind of not that sudden. Speaking of sudden, the ending of this next match was kind of too sudden for me. The next match would be the Intercontinental Championship match. Langston against DAMIAN Sandow. I was hoping that Sandow was going to get this victory tonight to make up for the fact that he did not get the cash in Money in the Bank successfully on John Cena back in October. It looked like Sandow was going to win the IC Championship despite the early fury from Langston really using his power and his advantage. But both guys were going for the finishers right away. Both men, from the get-go, set up their finishers to no avail. In many attempts, both men would try various times in the matchup for both the finishers. Big E would try the Big Indy a few times. Sandow would set up the Welcome a few times. But they did other big moves, eventually including, of course, Sandow after the early fury for Langston, lowering him down, pulling him down to set up for his other big move, the Elbow of Disdain, and delivering some big elbows in an okay, decent little matchup for the IC Championship. But then Sandow was coming back after the Elbow of Disdain and really pummeled Langston, really going for the big speed. Some big nasty moves. Langston came back with a big power move of his own as he caught Mr. Sandow with an electric chair. I think we'd see many electric chair moves throughout the evening. And of course, once again, both men were going for their big moves throughout the match, especially with Big E trying to go for the big ending a few times. Until Langston tried to kick out of the Sandow pin. And Sandow was going for a big kick. And then a big clothesline. But then Big E ducked it. He went for a big tackle to set up the straps being down. And the ending was, I think the ending was kind of sudden. Like, after that tackle, just the ending just came. Like, it was like a sudden ending. And then a big tackle from Big E. Up, down came the straps, and the man titties exposed. And they got the big ending in the 1-2-3 victory as Big E would retain the Intercontinental Championship. Kind of a sudden ending, but still was an okay matchup. I would have loved SANDOW to win tonight. But, you know, Big E's only had an IC championship for about a few months. I think they're going to keep it on him for a few more months. I think the fans are starting to like him as a face. I've said it a few times. I think the fans are starting to like Big E as a face. 2.2 out of 5. Now, my favorite match of the evening was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the WWE, the Elimination Fatal 4-Way, need to mention, for the WWE Tag Team Championship. It was Goldust taking on the Americans, Saw and Swagger, Big Show and Mysterio, and Dolph. RYBAK Soul. That's a weird name for the tag team. RYBAK and Curtis Axel, of course, the former Heyman guys teaming up. Now, the first part of this matchup when it was RYBAK and Axel against Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Like there was like the slow part of the matchup. But then the next two series with the other two teams who would be eliminated after the first team would be the best parts of the matchup. It was slow but steady. Of course, RYBAK trying to go for his big moves. Of course, the big muscle man. But then Goldust came in after Cody Rhodes started it off. And Goldust came in like a house of fire. I'm glad that the fans are starting to like Goldust. I'm glad Goldust came back for a while. And I like that move that Goldust does. I like that move that Goldust like a reverse little power bomb thing that kind of looks like an Canadian destroyer, but not exactly. And so RYBAK and Axel try to go for their big moves until Big Show came in as well, because you can tag in anybody. And Big Show just came in with some big nasty chops. And I like the fans were chanting when Show was knife ass chopping Axel. The crowd kept chanting, "Do it again! One more time! One more time!" Big Show did like 3 times to the fans' happiness in Houston. But then, like I said, Goldust and Cody would come back in, tagging themselves in. There was a lot of blind tagging here. So Goldust came in, trying to do some big moves. Then Axel trying to distract Goldust, and RYBAK was going for his big moves. You know, trying to go big clothesline moves. Until Goldust, after RYBAK was going for a big powerbomb move, Goldust would counter with a roll-up in the first elimination with a pin over Mr. RYBAK. But then came the most exciting part of the matchup. If I was to pick a new champion, I would have wanted the We Americans to win. Because they got the momentum on them and they got a big push on them. I like these guys, no matter whether you like the characters or not, in their beliefs, especially the manager, Mr. Zep Coulter. I've said this for months, that when Mr. Cesaro started teaming up with Swagger, it's the best thing that ever happened to him. And I think these two are a great tag team. I've seen their potential for weeks, and I thought tonight was going to be tonight, especially what would happen in this next series as Swagger would come in following the elimination of Axel, and the double teaming and bubbling of Goldust in the corner would begin. Great teamwork for both Swagger and Cesaro. Honestly, Goldust, quick tagging in and out, and I like the fact there was great spots with them tagging out everybody. As Goldust was trying to tag in everybody, they kept taking everybody out. Like they kicked out Cody before Goldust to tag him. They wouldn't let him tag anybody. They took everybody out so they could left Goldust all alone in the ring. And Goldust was, I thought it was done for Goldust, especially after to see Solo swing, swing, swing. But even after the Solo swing, Goldust was still showing some fight left. And then indeed, Swagger would come in with the tag. Some big moves. Cody was trying to go some big moves as well. Swagger, Cesaro, of course, did some great double team moves. A big double team ending move. But then as Mr. Swagger will go for a big move. Goldust distracted him to help Big Show kind of come in. That got both Swagger and Cesaro. I think Cesaro was going up the top for a big move. It got knocked out in midair. And Big Show got the pin. 1, 2, 3. Cesaro and Swagger were eliminated. I was stunned when those two got eliminated. I thought Swagger and Cesaro were going to win. But in the end, the last two teams were two babyface teams. Big Show and Mysterio against Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Now this one match got really exciting. These two teams, I think Big Show and Mysterio got some potential. I've seen Big Show tag with many people. He's tagged with Kane, Undertaker, but I think this is like the weirdest tag team I've seen him with. Weirdest tag team partner, you know. Look at Mysterio next to Big Show. It looks like a little down next to him because Big Show's so fucking tall. You know, David and Goliath teaming up. But you know what? It's a good combination. The big power of Big Show combo with the speed of Mysterio. I think they'll make a good combo. Maybe for tag team contention. And a very steady and varied tag division. Proving that WWE's tag team division for the first time in years is better than TNA's division for once. Usually TNA's tag division's been better. But I think WWE's got a little bit too much tag teams. Even those who are underused. Part-time players. But still, there's some great tag teams in WWE now. Finally, some great teams. Usos as well. Speaking of underused. But still, this last little series of matches with Mysterio, Big Show, and Cody Rhodes and Goldust back and forth, near fall after near fall, move after big move, Cody going for the disaster kick. It was just an epic series of moves. It was a great matchup for the final two teams. It was just back and forth. Mysterio tried many times with a 619. It was just an exciting series between these two final teams. And it ended after Cody going for the Alabama Slam attempt. And don't go for crossword a few times. It was just intense, this big series of matches. Until Cody would indeed nail the crossroads on Mysterio to pin him for the win and retain the tag team championships for him and Goldust. And they got a little handshake in the end. Little show of sportsmanship. Great fast-paced matchup. Once they got rid of RYBACK and AXEL, that's when the match got really going. Especially with Cesaro and Swagger, proving that they should be tag team champions eventually. I've been saying that for a while. They got great potential. They showed their potential. I thought they were going to live up to it tonight. But despite the elimination, I did like the fact that Big Show and Mysterio was the final team with Cody Rhodes and Goldust, because that match between those final two, that little four-way with those two in the end was a great, fast-paced match. I liked it a lot. Very near falls and counters and very exciting big moves. And it was an exciting soiree, should I say, between those two teams in the end. 3.5 out of 10. Like I said, my favorite match of the night. Favorite match of the night just because it was so exciting. Especially with when Swagger and Cesaro came in, and when Big Show and Mysterio was left as the final team with Cody Rhodes and Goldust. So great, exciting tag team match. I heard the tag team match was very good at Hell in a Cell. I didn't be able to see that, but I was able to see this one. It was a great, exciting tag team elimination matchup. Now I'm going to put these two matches in a row. After the crowd was so dead after that great tag match, they decided to put two filler matches in. The first filler match, last minute match, would be BRODUS Clay against R-Truth. Now, for what I've seen from Walls, what I've been able to see when I'm at my gigs, I think BRODUS Clay and Tensai have been teasing a heel turn. I think more specifically, BRODUS Clay's been teasing a heel turn with his little feud with R-Truth and Xavier Woods, aka Consequences Screen from TNA. I think it's because when BRODUS saw him one night hanging out with his chicks, I think he got jealous. And it was just a pummel match. This filler match was just okay. Finally, I'm glad BRODUS Clay's finally going to turn heel. The monster he was built to be before he debuted as a disco freak last year. It took 1 year, but finally, I think we're finally going to see the heel turn of the beast. BRODUS Clay, he just pummeled R-Truth. And even his tag team partner, Albert, Tensai, Sweet Tea and the Funko Dancers were like disgusting with BRODUS. Because every time BRODUS had R-Truth for a pinning predicament, he didn't want the pin. He didn't want to win over R-Truth. He wanted to punish R-Truth. He tried to nail him in the Tree of Woe, pummel him against the steel steps. But Tensai was like, come on, BRODUS, you have the pin. Just pin him already. Don't beat him up. Just get the win. And BRODUS was like, you think you're better? And then towards the end, Tensai walked out and started the Funkadactyls, kind of ceiling to finish for BRODUS' heel turn. So if the Funkadactyls and Tensai gone, they're going to let BRODUS kind of pray to an R-Truth big kick, taking advantage of the distraction with a big kick and a roll-up. 1, 2, 3. R-Truth taking advantage of that distraction from BRODUS Clay's friends, or as should be former friends, walking out on him and walking into a big kick from R-Truth in the pin. 2.0 kind of a filler matchup. But at least it did one purpose. Finally, planted the seed and grown the seed more for a possible Brodus Clay heel turn. And Brodus Clay could finally turn heel into the beast I want him to be. I think the heel turn could finally be complete tomorrow on Raw if he beats up Tenzai some way. So I hope he finally completes the heel turn tomorrow, but completely turning his back on Tenzai like Tenzai turned his back on him tonight. Now on to our next filler match that kind of came about from the pre-show. Miz was on the pre-show panel talking trash about his heel turn as of late and pummeling Kofi Kingston ever since he walked out on Kofi in a tag match right before Survivor Series. Kofi was sick of the trash talking, so Kofi crashed, should I say, the pre-show stage and beat up Miz, which would lead to a no DQ match between Kofi and Miz. Now I agreed with the fans. A bowling chance in that restroom break sign I told you about earlier during the Divas match. I think that sign was necessary for this matchup. It was just a lackluster match. You know, for being a no DQ match, the only physical no DQ thing was when Kofi was trying to set up for the Trump in Paradise against Miz on the ring post, but then Miz dunked it in. Instead, Kofi hit his foot on the steel post. That was the only extreme thing in this no DQ match. It was just kind of a lackluster, slow match. You know, I'm glad the fans cheered it. Bowling. Even the exposed turnbuckle. But of course, Kofi was trying to go for his big moves, the Trump in Paradise a few times. I think he did try to do the Trump in Paradise. And the Miz exposed the turnbuckle, like I said. He even tried to go for the skull crushing finale. Face first on Kofi on the steel. Exposed, very okay, but Kofi counted. But as Kofi was trying to do a Trump in Paradise and an SOS, Kofi got sent into the turnbuckle and got the victory. Orton is kind of a, speaking of sudden endings, Kofi got the victory over Miz. I thought Miz won, but it was Kofi who got the victory. I think it was like a relief when the match was over. I think the fans were cheering because the match was over. 2.0, another filler matchup. Now, our next matchup, like I said, there wasn't any handicap matches. I'm not saying that because D-Bry stings. I'm just saying that he had horrible wrestlers to work with. Of course, the 3-on-1 handicap match involving D-Bry and the Wyatt family. Now, I've said this a few times about D-Bry and Punk, that there are two guys who can have a good match with anybody, unless they're the Wyatts. The match of the Survivor Series was manageable, but D-Bry being in a 3-on-1 handicap situation, it was kind of like intense. Especially, like I said, since D-Bry had to literally carry the match because he was dealing with three guys who can't wrestle that well. There's three guys who just brawl and just beat people up. And we would see that. Following the initial fury from D-Bry, Harper would just dominate over him and just come with some big splashes, just punching and kicking. He just tossed him around like a rag doll till he got Rowan in. And I knew that this was going to happen. I kind of sensed they were doing this game plan. Harper and Rowan were going to weaken D-Bry so bad that Bray, who was sitting on his rocking chair, would get in the ring, defeat Bryan at his weakest point. Which is exactly what happened. A few minutes after about 5 or 10 minutes of D-Bry getting beaten down by Rowan and Harper, getting weakened, here comes Bray to feast on the scraps. He kept talking to D-Bry saying, "Why are you going to join me?" That's why they kidnapped him. Because like Bray wants Daniel Bryan to be one of them. And the backward spider move. And the fans chanting, "That was freaky." That was kind of funny. But as Bray was basically feasting on D-Bry after being weakened, D-Bry did try for the comeback many times until being thwarted by Harper. Coming back in after Bray basically picked up the scraps and Harper was going in for the finish. But then, of course, being a tenacious D-Bry that he is, and feeding up the crowd, really going for him lately, big F you to WWE for not putting him in a big matchup tonight. But of course, came for the comeback. Going for the big headbutt moves, of course, the big flying splash. The big splash through the middle onto Rowan and Harper outside the ring, through the kind of by the table area. And then Bray Wyatt came in for the tag and trying to feed on D-Bry. And then, like I said, D-Bry went for the headbutt, the big flying, the big kicks. He even did a big flying drop kick, missile drop kick from the top on Bray. And as Bray was putting him in the yes lock to the end of the match, trying to get the submission victory, Bray would counter out of it and would put Bryan in the Sister Abigail and a 1-2-3 victory for Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. I was kind of upset Bryan lost, You know, but I hope there's a sign of hopefully Bryan can end his feud with the Wyatt family. Maybe towards the Royal Rumble. I made that prediction a few weeks ago in a video I made. Thoughts on the TLC match of Cena and Orton. In my Royal Rumble prediction thoughts video, I predicted that Daniel Bryan was going to win the Royal Rumble. I hope so. And after the match, D-Bryan was being held down, like D-Bryan was out, and Bray Wyatt just held him in his arms after he put him in the Sister Havoc, going to end the matchup. So, 2.0 it was just an okay handicap match. The Russell won the bunch, just because D-Bryan had horrible wrestlers to work with. Just because they can't wrestle, they just brawn people, just beat people up like Brock Lesnar and RYBACK. They don't move around, they just run around and just stomp people and just punch and kick people. Now on to our main event. For the DLC match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, John Cena against Randy Orton. Now the match would start off a little slow, which it did, but the match was decent. You know, for being a Cena match, of course, look, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a man that's faster than the Rey Mysterio, more powerful than the Big Show, able to bury careers in a single bound, the master of the 5 moves of doom, the egomaniac of all time, the chump of steel, Super Cena. And indeed, Cena tried to go for the offensive early. And I did like this match just because they used a lot of weapons. Of course, Orton would be the first to introduce the steel chair of the matchup by nailing Cena a few times with the chair until Cena would come back with the chair. And there were some okay spots in this matchup, especially kind of predictable ones. Cena setting up the FU on the announce table, the Spanish announce table. What is it, TLC, without a move on the Spanish announce table? Come on. You know, you can't have a TLC PPV without someone going through the Spanish announce table. But then after Cena took it down by Orton, I think Cena, of course, both guys would, of course, various times, various positions to win the matchup at one time. Cena got pulled down the ladder one time by Orton, and Orton went up for the RKO, which is when the match kind of turned for the worse for Cena. But Orton got kind of cut up. Cena cut up Orton a little bit, dealing with a ladder and such. And then, of course, they would brawl outside the ring. 2 tables on the turnbuckle corners. Tables outside the ring. Various spots with Cena pushing Orton to a table at one point in the match. And then, of course, the real game changer was, of course, later on in the matchup there, involving Orton. I remember Orton and Cena were in a match, last man standing match at I Quit match at, I think it was Turning Point back in 2009. And I think Cena kind of handcuffed Orton to the ring by duct taping him. Well, this time Orton used handcuffs near towards the end of the matchup, trying to nail Cena by handcuffing him, trying to weaken him to not be able. And also, other great spots was when Cena did climb a ladder at one point when Orton was down. I thought he was going to climb it, but he went for a black knuckle shuffle up to Orton, blocked it the first time. And I liked it when Orton also beat him up with the microphone a few times after knocking off. That was the move after Orton got the RKO after knocking Cena off. And it looked like Orton, after the microphone, I thought he was going to punt him as well. But Cena got out of it and kind of thwarted Orton punting him. And then that's when he got the FU on the commentary table. And of course, that's when the match got really good. And of course, that's when Orton put out the handcuffs. And Cena got handcuffed to the rope, bottom rope. He was trying everything to get out. And Cena was left helpless as Orton looked like he was going to clinch the victory. Cena handcuffed to the rope. But then Cena decided to disconnect the bottom rope, kind of tipped the steel post of the rope, and climbed up with the steel post, and nearly Orton with it as he climbed up. I think the ending was kind of botched. And I'll tell you what happened. As Cena came up with the handcuffs in hand with the ring post connected to it, Orton got back down after Cena knocked him down, and Orton pulled the ring rope, kind of a tug of war with Cena. And I kind of knew this spot was going to happen, but I think Cena kind of botched it. That Orton was going to pull Cena off the ladder by pulling the ring rope towards the table in the corner, and Cena was going to go through it. But as Cena was going to fall off the ladder through the table, I think Cena slipped, and his head hit the ladder. He didn't go through the table. They were trying to do. Cena goes through the table. But then Cena kind of botched it by slipping, and his head just hit the table, not going through it. Then Cena kind of botched that ending. So if Cena out by botching the ending and not going through the table, but his head hitting it, Orton would climb the ladder. I thought Cena being Super Cena, and I thought Super Cena was going to win this. I thought Super Cena was going to get up after that table hit, the little botch there, but then Orton would grab the 2 belts, and Orton would become the new World Heavyweight Champion, the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Good day for me today. The Bears won, the Giants lost, and Cena lost. I really did not, because this is the first WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It's the first time they've ever unified the titles in 10 years. You know, I thought Cena was going to be the first because he's, you know, Super Cena and all that. I really did not think he was going to win. He was going to lose. I did not think he was going to lose. I thought Orton was not going to win this. But I'm happy at least Cena lost. You know what I mean? But as Orton was celebrating, here comes Vince, Stephanie, and Triple H to celebrate with their champion. Their guy won. You know, the guy they handpicked to become the face, stayed the face by beating Cena tonight. 3.3. Not as good as a tag match, but still a decent, exciting matchup for what it was, a TLC match. I like the uses of weapons in the matchup. And the ending was kind of decent, but I think they kind of boxed it. I think Cena was supposed to fall through the table, not hit his head on it. I think he kind of slipped. If you watch the clip back, he kind of slipped as Orton pulled the rope. He kind of slipped and missed the spot he was supposed to land on. So there you go. But I'm glad at least Cena lost. I did not really think Cena was going to lose. You know, because like I say, Super Cena, it being the first unified champion in a long time, I thought it was going to be Cena. But hey, glad at least he lost. So Orton wins. We'll see who's next for Orton. I hope it's Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble. I just hope Cena doesn't win the Royal Rumble for 2 years in a row. You know, Cena won it this year. Hope he doesn't win it next year. Hope D-Bryan wins. Especially the fans chanting yes during the opening promo with Stephanie. Didn't mention that. So there you go. That is my TLC review. 7.0 out of 5. I mean 7.0 out of 10. My overall pay-per-view rating. I rated that because of a great tag team match and the fact that Cena lost in a decent TLC matchup. And with that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you again for watching. See you all later. Yes! Yes! Yes!